Emily Lawson woke up on the morning of her 39th birthday with a quiet heaviness she didn't like admitting even to herself. The sun pushed through the curtains of her small home in Eugene, Oregon, painting faint gold streaks across the bedroom floor, but she didn't feel the warmth the way she once had. Birthdays used to excite her. They used to come with big breakfasts, surprises left on the kitchen counter, and the playful smile her husband, Daniel, always wore during their early years of marriage. But lately, life had become a long line of routines, and even simple moments felt too heavy to enjoy. Still, she got out of bed. Birthdays didn't stop just because the heart felt tired. She wrapped a soft sweater round her shoulders and walked to the kitchen. The smell of fresh morning quiet greeted her, mixed with the faint ticking of the wall clock. She reached for the cabinet above the coffee machine and paused. Something was taped to the front of it, a small white note, her name written in Daniel's handwriting. Her heart jolted. She didn't remember the last time he'd left her a handwritten note. She pulled it off carefully, almost afraid it would disappear if she touched it too fast. It read, "Happy birthday. Your first gift starts at 6 p.m. We're something you love." Emily stared at the message for a long moment, as if trying to read deeper meaning between the lines. For months, she had felt a slow distance growing between her and Daniel Knott's anger. Not conflict, just quiet separation caused by work pressure, late nights, and long silences that neither of them intended but both of them allowed. She had feared that he no longer paid attention to her small joys, like the way she loved handwritten notes, tea on cold evenings, or walks at sunset. But this small message touched something inside her. It wasn't dramatic, but it felt like a spark. She tucked the note into the pocket of her sweater and went about her morning with a lighter step. At work, she caught herself smiling for no reason, ignoring the usual stress that came with spreadsheets and phones that never stopped ringing. She kept thinking about the note. What had Daniel planned? He wasn't usually the mysterious type. He was straightforward, predictable in a comforting way. A surprise wasn't his typical style, and that made her wonder even more by the time she drove home. The sky was shifting into soft evening colors, lavender, peach, and pale blue melting into each other. Her heart raced with a mixture of nerves and excitement. She didn't want to expect too much, but she couldn't help it. She wanted something meaningful, something that told her their marriage still had the warmth she feared had faded. At 5:30 p.m. She stood in front of the bedroom mirror, trying to decide what "wear something you love" meant. Her gaze scanned the clothes hanging neatly in the closet. She reached for a navy blue dress she hadn't worn in a long time. It wasn't fancy, but it felt like her. Daniel had always said the color made her eyes look softer. She smoothed the fabric against her waist. Tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her nerves grew stronger as the hand inched closer to 6 o'clock. When the doorbell rang, she jumped. She hurried to the front door and opened it, blinked in surprise. A professional driver stood on her porch. Middle-aged, polite posture, wearing a neat black jacket. "Mrs. Lawson?" he asked. "Yes." He handed her a small envelope. "This is for you, ma'am. Courtesy of your husband. If you're ready, I'll drive you to your destination." Emily's breath caught. She took the envelope with trembling fingers and opened it. Inside was a small card with Daniel's handwriting. "Tonight, I want to give you back a piece of yourself." Her heart squeezed. A wave of emotion washed through her: hope, fear, curiosity, longing. She nodded to the driver and followed him to the black sedan parked in the driveway. As they pulled out of the neighborhood, she felt a strange mix of calm and anticipation. Houses passed by, then the open road. The landscape shifted: tall evergreen trees, the wide sky above them, the faint hum of the car. She pressed her hand over her chest, trying to settle her heartbeat. This wasn't just a birthday surprise. She could feel it. Daniel wasn't the type to plan something like this unless he meant it. Maybe he felt the distance too. Maybe he wanted to fix it. Maybe he still saw her the way he once did, someone he wanted to surprise. Someone he cared about deeply. The car finally turned onto a quiet road lined with tall pine trees. She recognized the path immediately. Her breath hitched. "Is this?" she whispered. The driver smiled. "We're almost there." When the car stopped, Emily stepped out slowly, her eyes widening. They had arrived at the lakeside cabin she hadn't visited in almost 7 years. A place filled with old memories, warm, young, hopeful memories. It was the same cabin where she and Daniel had once spent a weekend talking about marriage. Dreams, fears, and the future they wanted. It was a place that had once felt like the center of their love story. Soft lanterns hung from the porch railing, glowing like fireflies. The lake behind the cabin shimmered in the fading light. But something felt unusual. The cabin door was closed. There was no sign of Daniel, only another envelope taped to the doorknob. Her fingers shook as she pulled it off and opened it. Inside was one sentence. "Before you come inside, think about what you wish we could say to each other, but haven't." Emily blinked, stunned. This wasn't just a playful surprise anymore. This felt intentional, deep, personal. It felt like Daniel wanted to open a door they had kept shut for too long. The driver quietly returned to the car and left, giving her privacy. Emily stood alone on the porch, the cool evening air brushing her skin. Her heart pounded as she thought about the unspoken worries she carried, how she feared they were losing each other, how she missed the way he used to laugh with her, how she missed feeling seen, chosen, wanted, supported. She had avoided bringing it up, afraid it would lead to arguments or hurt feelings. Maybe he felt the same. Maybe this night was meant to bring those unspoken feelings out. She took a deep breath and reached for the doorknob. Before she touched it, the door opened. Emily gasped softly. Daniel stood in the doorway. He looked calmer than she had seen him in months. But there was something vulnerable in his expressions, something that made her chest tighten. He wore a simple button-down shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows, as if he had been preparing for this moment with careful thought. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi," she whispered back. For a long second, they simply looked at each other, trying to understand the swirl of emotions between them. Then Emily noticed something. Daniel was holding an object behind his back. Not hidden in a secretive way, but in a gentle, almost shy manner. Her curiosity deepened. "What is that?" He stepped aside, his voice warm but slightly nervous. "Come inside. I want to talk to you, and I want to give you your real birthday gift." The lantern light behind him cast a soft glow around his figure, making everything feel even more intimate, more meaningful. Emily stepped through the doorway, her heart bracing for something important, maybe something beautiful, maybe something painful, maybe something that would change everything. As the door closed behind them, Daniel slowly brought the object forward. And when Emily saw what he had made for her, her breath caught in her throat. Her birthday gift wasn't just a surprise. It was the beginning of a truth they had avoided for far too long. It's truth that would shape everything that came next. Emily's eyes widened as Daniel slowly stepped closer, holding something carefully in both hands. It wasn't the flashy gift she half expected, nor flowers or jewelry. It was a simple, hand-bound memory book, tied with a soft ribbon, worn only slightly at the edges, as if it had been handled with care over time. Emily felt her chest tighten. She had not seen Daniel show this kind of effort in months, maybe years. Every small detail, from the way he held the book to the look in his eyes, whispered thoughtfulness, care, and something deeper, longing to reconnect. He offered the book to her almost shyly. "I know we've both been distant lately," he said quietly, "but I spent the last month making this for you. I want us to remember everything we've been through, and maybe find our way back to each other." Emily's fingers trembled as she took it. The pages felt soft under her touch, and when she opened it, memories came flooding back. Photos of their college days, road trips, their first home together. Even silly little notes they had written to each other in moments of humor or hope. They were all there. Each page was a reminder of the life they had shared, of laughter and love that had grown quietly over time. She felt a warmth in her chest that she hadn't felt in a long while. Yet there were blank pages at the end of the book. Emily's eyes lingered on them, noticing the single line Daniel had written. "The rest of our story is still ours to write." 'Twas simple, honest, perfect. She could feel his heart in those words. Daniel's voice broke her reverie. "Life has been hard. I know I haven't been the husband you deserved these past months. I've been distracted, absent in ways I didn't even notice. But I want to try again. I want to show up to really see you, to understand you. Will you let me?" Her throat tightened, tears brimming at the corners of her eyes. She wanted to say yes immediately, but she paused, letting the moment sink in. All the hurt, all the distance. All the nights she had felt lonely while he was near, everything had built a fragile wall between them. Yet now here he was, reaching for her, holding not just a gift, but a promise. She reached out and closed the book gently. "I've missed us," she whispered. "I've missed you." Daniel's face softened, and a smile that had been waiting for this moment spread across his lips. He stepped closer, careful, as if their space was sacred. The room felt full of something unspoken: honesty, longing, and love that had not disappeared, only been buried. They spent the next hour talking quietly. No raised voices, no accusations, just truths spilling out between them. Emily shared how lonely she had felt, the fear of growing apart, the nights when she had doubted if he still noticed her. Daniel admitted the same, explaining how stress and work had distracted him, how he had taken their love for granted, how he had missed her presence more than he realized. Each word brought them closer, each confession dissolving the distance that had accumulated over time. As the sky darkened outside, lantern light cast a soft glow in the cabin. The warmth of the fire flickered, painting golden patterns on the walls. Emily realized that this night, this gift, was more than just a birthday celebration. It was a bridge. It was a chance to start over, to find the intimacy and understanding that had once felt effortless but now required attention, care, and courage. Daniel finally handed her a small paper lantern, his hands brushing hers in a fleeting electric touch. "Make a wish," he said softly, his eyes never leaving hers. Emily held the lantern, feeling its fragile weight. She closed her eyes for a moment, thinking about everything she wanted, not just for tonight, but for their future. She wished for the courage to keep loving fully, for patience, for the ability to communicate openly, and for moments like this that reminded them of what mattered most: each other, together. They stepped outside, holding the lantern. Emily released it slowly, watching it float upward, glowing against the deepening night sky. Daniel held her hand, feeling the warmth of her palm, grounding her, connecting them. They both watched the tiny light rise, carrying their shared wish into the world. It felt like hope itself was lifting off the earth. Emily leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. This is perfect," she murmured. "More than I could have imagined." Daniel tightened his hold gently. "I want to keep finding moments like this," he said. "Not just once, not just for birthdays. Every day. I want to show you that we still have us, that nothing we face can erase what we've built together." She looked up at him, tears now freely rolling down her cheeks. "I want that too. I want us again." Fully, the evening stretched on. They shared memories, laughed at old mistakes, and sometimes simply sat in silence, letting the presence of each other fill the spaces that words couldn't. The cabin became a haven, a world apart from the noise and stress of everyday life. Emily felt something she hadn't felt in years, a quiet, steady joy, a sense of being truly seen and understood. As the night deepened, Daniel lit more lanterns outside, letting the glow reflect off the lake. Emily watched them flicker across the water, feeling the weight of unspoken apologies and old frustrations dissolve into the night air. The past months of tension seemed distant now, softened by effort, love, and the honesty they had shared. Daniel finally turned to her, holding the memory book close. "These pages," he said, "are just a start. I want us to fill the rest together. Every adventure, every ordinary day, every small victory, and every hard moment, we write it together, every day." Emily smiled, pressing her hand to the book. Then let's start tonight. Let's promise to keep choosing each other even when it's hard. He nodded. Even when it's hard, he echoed. The night was still, except for the soft lapping of the lake and the gentle rustling of the trees. Emily and Daniel stood side by side, holding each other, letting the quiet speak louder than any words could. For the first time in months, they felt like a team again. Like partners, not just in marriage, but in life. Emily realized that the true gift wasn't the book, the cabin, or even the lanterns. The gift was Daniel's attention, his effort, and his willingness to be vulnerable. It was the courage to face distance and doubt, to rebuild what had been shaken, to invest in love even when it felt difficult. That was more valuable than anything money could buy, more enduring than any bouquet or shiny object. She leaned into him once more. "Thank you," she said softly, "for this. For us." Daniel kissed the top of her head gently, and for a moment, all the noise, all the stress, all the quiet worry of life melted away. They didn't need grand declarations or dramatic gestures. They only needed each other, the honesty they had found tonight, and the courage to continue building their story together as the night air cooled. They walked back inside the cabin, hand in hand, the book resting between them like a bridge connecting past, present, and future. They talked late into the evening, planning small things, laughing at silly memories, and sharing dreams they had once whispered quietly when they thought no one was listening. When Emily finally drifted to sleep, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace. This birthday had given her more than gifts. Sid had reminded her that love was something alive, something worth nurturing, and something that could always return, even after months of quiet distance. And as she closed her eyes, she realized the most important truth, the greatest gift Daniel had given her wasn't something she could hold. It was the chance to feel seen, chosen, and loved again. It was a gift that would last far longer than a single day, far longer than any material thing could. It was the gift of connection, of understanding, and of renewed hope. And that night, as the cabin lights dimmed and the lanterns drifted upward, Emily knew with certainty that the best chapters of their story were still ahead.